Well, good morning, Bakersfield, surrounding communities, and everybody watching online on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook Live. This is the Early Bird Special right here on ESPN Bakersfield, 101.1 FM, 12:30 a.m. I'm Chris Burdick. That is Sparky. Sparky, good morning, my friend.
Good morning.
Let them know what they're in for.
We'll recap last night's Thursday night football game, which, yeah, we'll recap that. We'll get into this Antonio Brown news. We got all sorts of miscellaneous stuff we can get into today. Plus, local comedian Chris Flail will join us at the top of the hour, 8 o'clock. And we'll get into some Condors talk with Ryan Holt at 8:30. If you have any questions, comments, fantasy lineup things, send them in 661-842-2000.
We got a huge homestand for the Condors this weekend as they take on their rival of the Henderson Silver Knights right here at Dignity Health. And honestly, I think we're undefeated at home right now. Not 100% what the record is. I think we're about 3-4, if I'm not mistaken, but we'll let Holt break down all of that for you. Because again, the point system, I'm starting to get the hang of, starting to get how all this works, but I'm still not fully there. I apologize. I'm a casual when it comes to hockey. So we'll get to all that. Plus, like Sparky said, Antonio Brown is probably the main story of the day, but we got to start with that Thursday night football game you saw last night, because the Denver Broncos and the Las Vegas Raiders ended in 10-7 as the Broncos walk away with another win. I believe it's their 7th straight. And I believe as well their 10th or 11th straight at home.
And the 5th comeback.
Again, if you even want to call this a comeback.
I mean, they were losing.
Technically. But again, I think there's plain and obvious issues with the Raiders, and there are teams like the Broncos that can just exploit the heck out of it. And the biggest issue it continues to be for the Raiders is that god-awful offensive line. And it got even worse because he kept losing pieces last night, and it showed. I mean, I'm pretty sure the Denver defense ended with 6-7 sacks. 5 of them were in the first half, a fumble recovery, a blocked punt.
That defense saved them.
They really did. And at this point, if you're a Raider fan, I mean, I guess you could walk away with saying at least that looked like a good defensive football game, because it was. It was a fantastic defensive football game. But
I'll say it again, Bolt had it right out the park.
He did.
And we had a listener asking about taking 9.5. I was like, no,
don't you do that.
And it was a lot closer than a lot of people thought, but it was a division defensive minding type game. And really, it was just ugly.
Get my boy Max Crosby off this team, by the way.
Ugly game.
Please. He is way too good. This guy is literally doing everything by himself.
Even penalties.
Yeah, that too. And that's the other thing. I know I've talked about a lot, especially how much I enjoy watching the Broncos. And I do. I think they're one of the better teams in the AFC. But their biggest problem was absolutely exploited last night, and that's the penalties. They are the 4th most penalized team in the NFL, and that doesn't bode well when you get around playoff time. You cannot have those big plays get drawn back because of holding calls or something like that. I know most of them happened to the Raiders last night, but there were a ton of small mistakes that the Denver Broncos made that were caused flags, especially in the first half.
9 penalties in the first half.
I know, and that's what I'm saying. And when you're going up against the wall already, because apparently the Raider punter just came out and had the day of his life, locking Bo Nix and every single one of these offensive players for the Broncos within their 20. I don't think they got it in favorable field position until the 3rd or 4th quarter. And that's really what kept the Raiders in this game, if you want to know the truth. But I echo what I said a couple weeks ago. I feel for Geno, because I think Geno has taken all of the blame for this when the guy has no time to do anything. I mean, the only time he has to throw a football is if they max protect with both tight ends. And then maybe he gets an extra second to throw a football. Not to mention, now he's going to be playing injured. So this is going to be a rough second half of the season for the Raiders.
I didn't understand why they left him in.
I don't either. Especially after that second instance where he got rolled up on, which, by the way, that was not only painful, but that was roughing the passer. Why do we not call that? I mean, I get sometimes the referees aren't paying attention, but if you look back at that play after Geno came out of the tent and was hit by, I believe it was Allen, the D tackle, big white guy. Ball is clearly out of Gino's hands, clearly, for a solid 2 to 3 seconds, and he still gets hit. I thought we were supposed to be throwing flags about stuff like that. I thought we were supposed to be stopping it, especially when it's lower body. And that's exactly what he did. He grabbed his legs and turned, kinking up his knee, which was already hurt. Or quad, I apologize. But why was that not called? I know it wouldn't have like gave them the game. Don't get me wrong. I know that they had to punt down that line, but the Raiders at least should have gotten that call because that was a blatant roughing the passer that just apparently the refs said, we're just not even going to pay attention to it. But if we're going to be calling that on everybody, we need to call that on everybody. And I'm not even a Raider fan, but I saw that and I immediately said, why was that not called? That was incredible. But again, it's not why they lost. The Raiders are losing solely because they don't have an offensive line that can protect them. And going against teams like the Denver Broncos, the Chiefs, and the Chargers, who are all fantastic at getting to the quarterback, it's going to be really tall order for you to actually, be competitive in any of these games. So until that is actually addressed, I'm not sure if the Raider team is really going to be able to turn this around. And listening to McAfee yesterday, they put it beautifully. We have been staring a tentative rebuild for the Raiders in the face for the last couple seasons, and they're just so skittish about pulling the trigger, and I don't understand why. I really don't. Like, a lot of these guys are
Yeah, I
just
mean,
sitting
it's
there
kind of
saying
hard
it's,
to rebuild a team when you're firing coaches every other year.
I understand that, but that's my point, is if you were going to restart with Pete, you should have fully restarted. Keep Max, that's fair, that's the best player on the team. But I don't think bringing in Gino and not fixing the offensive line, not really doing the necessary steps in a rebuild was the smartest way to go about this. Spending all the money on Chip Kelly and Pete Carroll wasn't really going to save you. That wasn't what your problem was.
Well, that was the real question on why when they drafted Ginty.
Right.
They're like, well, you got the best running back out there, but
you had Josh Jacobs.
There's no one blocking for him.
Yeah, it's like it's the same issues. And that's my point, is if we were going to go for a rebuild, you should have gone straight into a rebuild. Again, if you wanted Pete Carroll to be the guy to lead you through that, that's fine. But I don't think just the movement at coaching staff or in the coaching staff was enough really for the Raiders to sit there and say, okay, we're ready. We're good to go here. I mean, you should have taken the lesson last year of how bad your offensive line was, not to mention the lesson that you saw from the Bears when their offensive line was god-awful with a rookie quarterback. So why did they not go for offensive linemen? Why not beef up what you need to in order for guys like Gino to be able to throw? That's really what all of this season is going to boil down to, is just how bad this offensive line has been playing. And to be honest with you, I don't know if a single offseason is going to be enough to fix it, but we've seen teams like the Bears be able to fix it in an offseason, so we'll see next year. But I'm starting to put the Raiders up there along with the Commanders and some of these other teams, the Jets, where your season is just over. It's OVA.
And there was some good news, at least with Jaden came out. There was no structural damage. He doesn't need to have surgery, and he'll be back after the bye week.
I cannot believe that that's the case. But, I mean, again,
that's what just broke this morning. So I was like, all right, well, I just released him from fantasy, and I still don't trust the Washington Commanders. So I'm going to leave him out there. But my real question was this just a tough division game what we were expecting? Because Denver's offense does not look ready to take a next step. And that's just me. It might be just my opinion. But that offense was at 8 or 9 3-and-outs against a tough Raiders defense. I get it. But they looked out of sync. Nix was just chucking it anywhere and everywhere, just hoping that somebody was going to be there. And even that long interception, I mean, that offense just looked rough.
Again, I agree with you that they didn't have the best night last night. I'm going to chalk it up.
They didn't look good last week either.
They won last week. What are you talking about?
Yeah, they won last night as well. But the offense is not the winning the games. It's the defense.
Again, I won't go. Again, it's definitely a big part of it.
Yeah, I got 42 points out of their defense last week. I know they won.
I know, but again, the point is that they had 77 points in 5 quarters. I'm not going to sit there and say the offense isn't good.
They're not going to take that next step is what I'm saying. They're not contenders is what I'm saying. And like I said, in my opinion,
I know, I get you. And that's why I'm just saying, like, I kind of disagree with your opinion. But again, that's the whole point. I'm not 100% sure if they are going to win the Super Bowl, but I'm also not going to sit there and say that this game against the Raiders was enough for me to say that their offense isn't good enough.
Yeah.
You
When
know
you
what I
put
mean?
10 points against the Raiders,
Again, you're right. I'm not sitting there saying you're wrong on that part. The Raiders stepped up and had a great defensive game, but just like Bolt said yesterday, it's a short week. And this is a division game. These games usually go this way.
yeah.
So it really just chalks up to, can you bounce back from this? And to be honest with you, I've seen Sean Payton do it a million times.
Oh, yeah. He's got to clean
So,
up those penalties first.
oh, 100%. And again, that's the biggest tell that I said earlier, was that's what's going to kill you, is the penalties. Because to be honest with you, with all of those penalties came the 3 and outs. So realistically speaking, you clean that up and the offense looks fine. So that's why I'm saying that I won't necessarily go as far as to say they're not contenders yet. I see why you say that, but I don't know. I kind of disagree with that. I feel like Denver is still one of those teams in the AFC that we're going to be seeing fighting for that spot between them, the
They better hope they
Chiefs.
win that division.
Again, that's your opinion. But
Yeah,
again,
that's fine. You put 10 points up and you got 12 penalties in a game and you are going 8 3 and outs. I can't look at that team and say, oh, they're contenders.
no, I get that. Again, but off of one game out of the 10 they've
Yeah.
played.
And 5 of those wins were comeback wins.
Okay, so were the Buccaneers, but we're all talking about them as the NFC
I'm not
champion.
talking about the Buccaneers.
Again, it's just, there are plenty of people that are still saying it, and the comeback wins you still have to give them credit for, regardless
Yeah.
of how many there were. And at that point, that actually benefits them because they're going to be in those small or margin games later on in the season, especially in the playoffs. So in
We'll
my
see,
opinion,
because there's other teams like the Chiefs and Chargers are fighting for that division as well.
I get that. But again, that's my point. Is we're looking at a team that's 8-2. They haven't even got their bye week yet. And to be honest with you, again, I agree with you that they need to clean up the penalties, but that's the only thing on this offense I see that they need to clean up.
And they lost another
The
running
rushing.
back.
Did JK go down?
Yeah.
Oh, I missed that part, I guess. RJ Harvey looks fantastic regardless, though. And again, I don't necessarily think that this team is one of those teams that if one guy goes down, the entire thing is going to fall apart, unless it's Bo Nix. That's just, obvious. But again, I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to sit there and say that just because they beat the Raiders 10-7, that they're not a contender. That's just my personal opinion.
Not my
But I get
contender.
yours. No, I get you.
I don't see them.
I get you. And again, you have all the right in the world to be able to have that opinion. And I think a lot of people do. But I'm just not on that train yet. I'm just not. That's just me. But let's take a break real quick. On the other side, we'll get to some of these other stories that we're talking about. Antonio Brown getting extradited back to the United States as he faces attempted murder charges for that incident that happened back in May at a boxing event. Plus, we have more information on the Nealand death yesterday. We'll give you all of that as we go. This is the Early Bird Special right here on ESPN Bakersfield. Welcome back. Early Bird Special right here on ESPN Bakersfield, 101.1 FM, 12:30 a.m. Streaming video live every single weekday from 7 to 9 on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. You can go back and watch all of our old episodes on YouTube and Facebook. And we're also on Instagram and TikTok as well. Follow us on all platforms. Let's get into this entire Antonio Brown situation. I mean, it was the biggest story that broke late yesterday, but Antonio was extradited back to the United States after this entire situation that happened back in May. I know we talked about it briefly, but we can get into it a little bit more here. Antonio was part of an altercation at a celebrity boxing event back in May in Miami, where at first he had claimed that he was getting jumped by a group of men that were trying to harm him and take his jewelry. Security got involved, and that's when Antonio pulled the security guard's gun out, fired a couple times, and this entire thing has ensued from there. He has since been out of the country after all of that happened, and the other party has now since come out and filed charges against him for attempted murder because one of the bullets apparently did graze the neck of one of the gentlemen that were part of the altercation. But Antonio was facing some very, very serious charges, especially after evading the authorities for so dang long. And to be honest, this may be the straw that finally breaks the camel's back. They may actually have to throw him in jail for this, even though it is much like BJ Penn. We said the other day, I think there are clear signs of some sort of needed help. Let's just say that. I don't know if it's CTE. I can't speak to it, but I can honestly say you go back in time, you can really focus on one pivotal part of Antonio's career that really started this entire spiral. That's the hit by Vontaze Burfict that we all kind of saw as very, very, very violent and honestly probably changed his life forever. But now he is facing attempted murder charges against these guys. I mean, he's been in Dubai for the entire time or the entirety of this. Sparky tells me that he was on Instagram and Facebook Live, even kind of gloating that the United States couldn't come get him. And when that happens, traditionally, they do not take that well. So I would expect some sort of major charges to be coming down on top of Antonio Brown. What are your thoughts?
That's it. I mean, we've kind of followed this story. I knew the day after the warrants went out, he was tweeting that he was taking off. See you guys, threw up the pieces, and then he was streaming video games and playing games in Dubai, and he was even picturing video or posting videos of him riding a bike around Dubai, and he's just a case. I don't know if I'm not a doctor, so I couldn't tell you about his mental health, but I know he's got a history of some wild behavior, whether it was taking off his gear and running off the field when he played in Tampa, or the crazy things that we've seen him do on social media. But yeah, like this charge says, it could be up to 15 years in prison on top of a big stack of money. So hopefully he gets the help he needs, but it seems like this guy for the last few years is not seeking the help he needs.
No, 100% not. And I, like you, not a doctor, but I feel like we could all look at this and just see the signs, right? I mean, again, I brought it up yesterday on a couple other shows. I don't really remember him being a head case before the hit. I really don't. In fact, the vast majority of my memory of him before that hit during the game against the Bengals was him being just a work heavy wide receiver that was trying to be the best at his position. Maybe I'm wrong and don't know the guy personally, and nor do I know what he was doing behind the scenes outside of that. But that is, in my opinion, or at least from what I have gathered, where we really saw the downturn start, where his just
It's a weird case.
It is a weird case.
I mean, the guy, I had respect for him as a player,
right?
And all those years in Pittsburgh, but I didn't know the guy until he started talking his way out of Pittsburgh.
Right.
And I was like, okay, maybe this is just a Pro Bowl receiver that needs a new scene. And then the more he talked, the more we saw him in social media, the more he was doing interviews. I was like, what is going on with this dude?
And I mean, even Tom Brady reached out, gave him a second chance with the Buccaneers, and he threw that away. So again, he hasn't exactly created any friends recently, I should say, especially within the NFL. But this entire case is just wild. I hope that he's able to get the help he needs. If this all does go down the way it's supposed to. But with the attempted murder charge, and to be honest with you can't exactly steal a gun off of a security officer and use it. Stealing a gun off the officer in general is going to get you in trouble, but firing it a couple times is definitely going to get you charges. So Antonio is dealing with this. We'll give you the updates as they come. But as of right now, he is in police custody and will be facing these charges here very, very soon. And then the other story we want to get to real quick, we got some updates of the Marshawn Nealon situation. And I feel for the kid because, like Sparky said yesterday, the girlfriend came out and said he has been struggling with mental health issues. I mean, again, this is the guy that just the other day blocked a punt and scored a touchdown for the Cowboys. So you would assume he's in hog heaven right now. You would assume he's at the top of the world, and we don't know what these guys are dealing with outside of the game. From what I gather and from the audio that I have heard, there was an altercation between himself and his girlfriend where he was planning to take his own life. He ran, just running away from the police authorities. The authorities are trying to track him down. They found him in a porta potty where he was sending out text messages to not only his girlfriend and family, but to people inside the NFL, because the NFL reached out to the police hoping to find him as well and deter this from happening. Unfortunately, he took his own life with a gun inside that porta potty. And that is kind of where we are right now. But it was an apparent suicide situation. And again, it's just another testament to we don't know what these guys are handling outside of the game. And as much as we all can get very critical of athletes and, how much money they can make and how much they really have to work to do what they do, not a lot of people understand the stresses that come with that. And I feel for him and his family. My prayers go out to him and his family. But this entire situation, I hope, is just one of those that we can kind of hope and pray doesn't really move on to a different player. But this was a terrible, terrible story to happen, especially after something great for him in his own career, having a highlight like that and then having it all kind of just end like it did. I really want to know what was going on inside his head, but that's just me. I am one of those people that I like to connect with people. I like to understand why you're feeling that way so I can try to help you. And unfortunately, Mr. Marshawn Nealon was just unable to find the help he needed to be able to get through this trying time in his life. So I feel for him and his family. I mean, I really do. And I don't want to say I'm happy that it wasn't something police related, but I am, somewhat, I guess, happy is not the right word. I am pleased that this wasn't him running away from the cop situation. He didn't want to get caught. This was more of, I'm trying to remember the player, or Lacey. This was a Lacey situation where something happened within his own home where he just couldn't take it anymore. And I feel for him, and I hope that they could reach out to the family and kind of figure out what they can do to help him. So prayers again go out to the Nealon family, but this was just one of those stories I don't think anybody really wanted to hear about or really expected to hear right after such an incredible situation for him. And then one more story to get to before we take a break. And Sparky's got some fantastic things on the other side that's going to lighten up the mood. NBA player Damon Jones has come out and pled not guilty. I apologize. Pled not guilty for this entire gambling situation that's going on in the NBA. He is directly connected to both sides of the FBI sting, both giving up information about players within the NBA, helping people bet, as well as being connected to the poker games that Chauncey Billups has been connected to. Apparently, Damon was also one of those face cards that they would bring in order to bring some legitimacy to their games. Damon is in some serious water. I think being not guilty was the only thing he really could have done at this point, but I'm not sure, much like Antonio, if this man really survives these trials, because these are some damning evidence, and the FBI has a ton of it. And if there's one man that is at the center of the entire thing, and again, I think that using Damon as a reason that LeBron might be connected to this is a little bit of a stretch, but the more and more information that comes out, there is some evidence that would make people believe that maybe LeBron at least knew about it. Maybe not was a part of it, but maybe he knew about it. And especially since his number one shooting coach, Damon Jones, is the one that's connected to the whole thing. And they were pretty tight as teammates as well. So again, another situation. We'll give you more information as it goes. I know Chauncey Billups is facing his arraignment, I believe, the 24th or somewhere in that area. And there's going to be a lot of information that's going to be flowing here in the next couple of weeks about what went down and how all this went down. But as we sit right now, I would expect Damon, Terry, and probably Chauncey, all three, to plead not guilty and be facing these charges in court. So we will see what we will see as that goes. Any thoughts on any of these, Spark, before?
No,
really.
The only thing I've heard with LeBron was that there was some insider information that Damon was using.
Right.
I haven't heard LeBron's name involved with any of it except that. But
everybody,
it was the
for
same
some
thing
reason,
with Anthony Davis as well.
Right. But everybody, for some reason, likes to throw his name in there. I don't know if it's just because it's LeBron. I said the same thing. I was like, I don't know why we're throwing LeBron's name in when he isn't connected to it. But again, the more and more I read into this, the more I'm just like, okay, I can kind of see why people are throwing it in there, because this guy and Chauncey and a lot of these guys are all directly connected to each other. So if you're homies, I guess you would know. I guess is the best way we could put it. But again, I don't think LeBron had anything to do with this. I think LeBron, again, maybe it's just because everybody's so skeptical because he's so squeaky clean outside of the game. But I personally don't get why everybody's trying to connect him to this, or Anthony. Because again, you're right. Anthony's another one that's been thrown out there. But I can't see that being the case until there's some damning evidence that shows us otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, I read the report with Damon Jones, and that was the only mention of LeBron and Anthony Davis, is that Damon was sharing non-public injury information with some of his sports betting. But I mean, I believe this is the only guy that they've linked to both sides.
Yes.
Not only just sports betting, but
Chauncey has a slight chance because everybody is kind of assuming that one of the people on the other side is Chauncey, but they have not fully released the name of said player. He just fits the bill pretty dang closely, especially at the time frame in which he played, his build and position and all that type of stuff. But you're right. Damon is technically the only one that's come out or that hasn't come out, that has been attached to both of them. And he will most likely be facing the brunt of all of the punishment for that exact reason. But everybody trying to connect this back to some of the star players he was talking about. I mean,
Stephen A. even brought up guys like Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce, and that whole, even back there.
Because that's the other rumor too that we're hearing, is that Kevin might not be exactly real, I'm sorry, it could be attached to this, but I don't think he is. And again, not going to say he is until there's any damning evidence to say otherwise. But I think at this point, it's just like Bolt said a couple weeks ago. I think there are more names that are going to be released here in the upcoming weeks as this trial comes out. But the main people that are going to be, punished for this are the three you've already heard: Terry Rozier, Chauncey Billups, Damon Jones. I think those three in the NBA, at least, are going to be the main punished in this entire situation. There might be some information that comes out that says maybe Damon convinced LeBron to take a night off because of a soreness or something like that. But I don't necessarily, I think that's probably going to be the long and short of it, of what LeBron and Anthony are connected to this, plus other guys like Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett. But we will see what we will see as things come out, because again, more information is bleeding out of this story every single day, including how this all went down, the money they were able to pull. I mean, it gets pretty incredible. If you have any time, go to The Athletic or go to ESPN. There are a ton of stories about this and just digging into this entire situation. And we'll try to give you as much of that information as we possibly can as we go. But at the moment right now, Damon fighting all of this, again, just like Antonio, most likely be facing some pretty significant jail time, just solely because, I mean, do I really even need to say it? Let's take a break real quick. On the other side, Sparky's got a top 10 when it comes to the upcoming mock draft and what your team might be looking at. And we got plenty more to talk about. I've got some stories out of the NHL. We got the AHL coming up with our guy, Ryan Holt, and our guy, Chris Flail. Hopefully make you laugh on this Friday before we go to the weekend. This is the Early Bird Special right here on ESPN Bakersfield. Welcome back. Early bird special on this Friday here on ESPN Bakersfield, 101.1 FM, 12:30 a.m. I got a couple things in the world of baseball, but we'll get to that later. Sparky,
We keep it in basketball. What the hell is going on with Draymond and Kevin Durant?
Kevin Durant is
I guess they had some. They say it's all in competition and love and
high culture.
respect.
They were
And
at each other's throats and they were teammates.
exactly, and it all started again with Durant talking in a podcast saying, offensive win championships, and that's why the Warriors won the title when he was there. And then Draymond had to throw in his 2 cents and says it's all about the defense, and then they go back and forth. And Draymond is almost he is a go getter, I would say. He likes to stir the pot.
Oh, 100%. But it's an interesting concept, especially in today's basketball game. Is offense the new way to win championships? Because nobody plays defense anymore. I can tell you that
Exactly.
right now. Not even Draymond, even though he wants to sit there and say defense is where it is. And I joke, obviously, he was a defensive player of the year candidate. I realize I'm just messing with you guys. But no, I think this is more towards just their clash of ideals. Kevin Durant, solely offensive player, really. I mean, he plays defense every so often when he absolutely needs to, but he's never really the lockdown defender. Draymond Green, it's quite the opposite. He's a pretty damn good defender, not the best offensive power forward on the planet, but he can still score for you when he needs to. When the two of them played together, you saw a lot of the clashing of heads, and I think that is more where this is. I think there's still a little bit of saltiness there, probably on the Draymond side more than the Kevin side, but I that wouldn't be the first thing that I would have thrown at a Kevin. I would have sat there if I'm Draymond Green, said, "Fool, we won one without you. Like, but we didn't need you to show up to win another championship. Like, you just joined us after the historic season we had, and technically they got worse.
Yeah.
If you really want to get down to it, they technically got worse. But I mean, again, I see both sides of the coin here. I see that Kevin obviously is just talking about today's game and how the offense is much more utilized than defense is. But at the same time, if any NBA team could actually learn how to play defense, pretty sure the offense wouldn't be that big of a factor anymore. So it really is just, I think it's just a clash in styles more than anything.
Yeah, pretty much, and their personalities probably.
Yeah.
I mean, Durant is always stirring up pots on social media,
but that's what I'm saying. I think the
Draymond
personalities are far more similar than they realize.
Probably,
if I'm being honest.
They both are little girls. But Draymond came out last night and said there ain't no beef. You guys can stir it up all you want. There's no beef. We love each other. Ain't no beef. Blah 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 blah. But I set that up because not only is Draymond talking with his old Durant beef, but a couple days ago he was talking about Dak Prescott, and everybody pretty much just like Burdick when I brought it up to him, he said, "Why is he talking football?" And this is what Draymond had to say about Dak.
I wouldn't put the game that I had based on the court. This kid pissed me off today. I was playing 2K.
That was
I've been playing 2K for like 2 hours.
That's another one I'll talk to in a second. But no,
that's Donovan, isn't it? I was like, wait a minute, that doesn't sound like Draymond.
No, this is Draymond.
He getting some numbers and they stink. Dak's a bum.
He's not a bum, dog. He's a really good quarterback.
No, he's a bum. They'll never win with that. I won 4 championships, Jordan. So you got to understand, when I say bum, I'm not saying Dak Prescott isn't a good NFL quarterback. Of course he's a good NFL quarterback. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying when the money's on the line, when it's for all the marbles, who are you? He a bum.
Wait. Stop. First and foremost, yes, you are calling him a bad quarterback. That's the whole point of the word bum. If you're a bum, you're not good at what you do. So that in itself doesn't make sense. But I also have to echo, if winning a championship in basketball gives you the right to talk about winning a championship in a different sport, I think there's a lot of athletes that need to start acting up then. Because him throwing, again, you could throw around the 4 rings to anybody you want, because it's true. You won many rings. But that argument, in my opinion, at least, only holds up in basketball world. Like, I don't need Steph Curry coming to the NHL and telling everybody Alexander Ovechkin's a bum. Not that he ever would, but you get what I mean. Like, I don't get why there's such animosity towards it. Maybe he's just a Dallas Cowboy fan and it doesn't like the trajectory in which the team is going. But again, as I've said a million times on this show, Dak's not the reason that Dallas is losing. Dak's actually the only reason Dallas is relevant, in my opinion. Along with, well, Javonte Williams is starting to make it look pretty dang good in the run game as well. But Dak Prescott is the sole purpose for the offense rolling the way it does. So calling him a bum is kind of a stretch, in my opinion. But I know a lot of NFL fans that probably would echo that sentiment at the same time, just because it's Dak Prescott.
Yeah, most Cowboy fans I talk to hate Dak Prescott. I'm like, really? Because I have a quarterback you can have. You don't like him.
Look, man, there were so many Cowboy fans a couple years ago that were wanting a straight-up trade, Dak for Derek Carr with the Raiders. Okay. But again, we're talking about a guy who's in the MVP race. Like, what? Who? That's a bum? If that's a bum, I need to see what you think is excellent. Because if we're just, the bar is Tom Brady, yeah, of course, everybody's going to look like a bum. Because it's Tom Brady. But like, where is the measuring stick, really, for Draymond? That's kind of my thought process. But again, him saying that he's not a bum and just saying he's a bum, but he's still a great quarterback is the first thing that made me scratch my head. Because
just Draymond talking trash.
That's honestly, that's kind of what pushes his entire viewership too, to be completely honest with you, is his polarizing takes. And they are very knowledgeable. Don't get me wrong. Draymond's actually a pretty good commentator, and he doesn't just spew stuff out. Like, the stuff that he talks about, he usually has some evidence behind it. But this one, I'm just like, that's odd.
Do you think that's just what a lot of these, I mean, even current athletes, but former athletes that are going into the booth, whether they're, I'm not talking about like the play-by-play guys that we talked about yesterday, but the more of that are trying to take hot takes. I know we text back and forth about the Ryan Clark. He takes shots. He even attacks his own co-host.
I forgot about that.
But I mean, there's all sorts of them. It's not just Ryan Clark. It's not just guys like Donovan. It seems like everyone, if they don't have the backing, if they're not a big name, they go in. I see the same thing from like Kendrick Perkins.
Yeah.
You know, he's been doing it for years. But there's guys, you know, I grew up with Ahmad Rashad, but the guys that started talking the trash was like when Charles Barkley first got on was Shaq. And that's what made Inside the TNT or Inside the NBA so good.
Right.
Is because you didn't know if Shaq and Kenny were going to go at it that day. But now it seems like ever since the Stephen A guys have came out, and it's just like they're always searching for that hot take, their 30-second promo, instead of having any backing on what they're actually talking about.
That's what gets people to look at them, though. That's what gets clicks online. And that essentially is what the name of the game is now. I mean, shoot, if you were listening to the show a couple minutes ago, you heard me and Sparky go at it.
It happens.
It happens. We have difference of opinions.
Me and my dad are both Dolphin fans, and we'll argue on why we're losing.
Oh, 100%. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, everybody, that's the point of sports, is to compare and make
That's why we're awake.
Exactly. But like, when it comes down to this, it's like I said, though, Draymond, as good of a basketball player as he is, and you could put Kendrick in there too, because Kendrick is not the best player that on his team, but he's still a champion.
Yeah.
Multi-time champion.
But you see him throwing out, oh, I've got titles, so you have to listen to me.
So, and again, that is a good indicator on if you should listen to somebody, 100%, especially on television. If that guy has not won a championship and is talking about winning a championship, his opinion doesn't hold the same weight. My opinion does not hold the same weight talking about basketball as Draymond Green's does. I'm fully aware of that. But to use that weight to throw it into a different sport doesn't make sense. You don't hear Pat McAfee going out and just criticizing everything about an NBA player and how they play because he never played basketball. It doesn't make sense to cross the border. That's the main thing for me with this Draymond thing is, you played one spring football game for Michigan State as a tight end. Yeah, I looked it up. One. And then he gave up on it because he wanted to focus on basketball. Smart move, got you the NBA. But at 4 titles. Point, 4 titles. But to sit there and say that Dak is a bum just because I think he's a bum, and then go and also say, but he's not a bad quarterback, he's just a bum. How does that even make sense? Like, okay, whatever, Dre.
It's a hot take.
It's a hot take. And again, it's like I said, it's what people want. It's what people, or what gets people to, click. Because I guarantee you right now, you're scrolling through your Facebook feed, you see a picture of Draymond Green and Dak Prescott and Draymond yelling at Dak. You're going to click on it and say, what did Draymond say to Dak Prescott?
Well, my question, that's why I brought it up. My question is, I mean, we both went to school for journalism, education, sports entertainment, blah, blah, blah. But in the age I grew up where we actually had to fact check and interview and make our notes and write our story, our thesis before we even started the damn story.
Yep.
But is it the time where you could just roll over, turn on a mic and just say something smart ass in 30 seconds?
In certain instances, yes, but it's only because you've got to look at who's saying it.
Yeah.
Okay. Ryan Clark, Stephen A. Smith, Draymond Green, Shaq, Kenny, Chuck, whatever. None of these guys are journalists. Not a single one of them writes stories for ESPN, Bleacher Report, The Athletic, does not matter. None of them are actual journalists. And that's the difference
between journalism and personalities.
Exactly. When it's a journalist, you are expected to look up all of your information, make sure you are on point, every number down to the T. And if something is wrong, you're going to hear about it. But a personality, somebody on television that's just talking about what you wrote,
they get paid to talk about it.
Exactly. And they get paid to give their opinions. And if their opinions are wrong, it is protected in some ways because of,
because they didn't
First Amendment and whatnot. But again, that is where the
That's
divide
what pisses
is
me
to
off.
me.
Because I did years of education
because
and
again,
training and all of the hard work of going out on the street and getting the information.
Why do you think people my age who are in the game, or at least want to get in the game, are so angry? Because every job is being given to a former athlete. And I get it, because who better to talk about it than someone who's played the game? But at the same time, you didn't go through all the training that I went through. All you did was take a class during the NFL that told you, okay, you can do this. Go put on a suit and go work for ESPN.
How they would feel if we were into their world and told them how to play basketball?
Exactly. And that's my point, is that like if me or you said anything negative, we would get pitchforks and torches.
Of course.
But if an athlete says something negative, it's a completely different game. And I agree with you. There's a lot of frustrations in that area, but that's just the game today, and we got to learn to play it. And honestly, I don't think we're doing a dang bad job at it.
No, we'll take our break, and I want to wrap up. I want to bring up this Donovan Mitchell, because I looked it up last night. I was laughing my ass off.
How dare you call my boy washed? How dare you?
We'll talk about that and much more right here on the Early Bird Special. Just in the last couple of minutes we have before our beautiful,
You have to say that every time now, just because you have.
beautiful, athletic. This was ripped. Chris Flail, the Chris Flail joins us at 8 o'clock. God.
Beautiful and
But
athletic.
this Donovan Mitchell story. So was he dealing with an injury or just playing NBA 2K or something? And some kid called him washed.
No, I think he's just playing NBA 2K because he's been playing all year. I mean, again, I don't get it. I don't get why. Again, kids get bold on these games.
Oh, I
brother.
know.
They get bold.
I'll tell you a story. I was playing Madden during COVID, and this kid I didn't know he was a kid.
Mhm.
You know, it was like
Yeah,
when
until
they
he puts
first
the
came
helmet
out,
on.
when you first can talk to people. I was like, okay, I'll check this out. And I'm playing, and we're having a good game, and this fool's talking trash. I'm like, okay. And about the fourth quarter, when I took away with the game, and he started talking, he started getting a little more quiet.
Oh yeah.
And then I heard his mom yelling from the back, "Get off the game! Do your chores!" And I'm like, "Oh, dude, I'm playing with the little kid.
Aw.
I'm sorry, dude. I have to let you go do your chores." And this kid just unleashed. But no, it just reminded me because this Donovan Mitchell, supposedly the kid was talking crap, and he used this to put the blame on the next game he played with. He put up 45 on the Sixers,
Mhm.
and this is what Donovan had to say.
I wouldn't put the game that I had based on the court. This kid pissed me off today. I was playing 2K. I've been playing 2K for like 2 hours, and I told him too. I was like, wait, just wait. And he just called me washed up. He called me a bunch of things, but I love it. You know what I mean? He said he ain't seen a highlight from me in a minute, and I just told him, all right, we'll see. He said, tell me to go to sleep. Like he was going in. So this game was for that kid or grown man, whoever that was. But so I appreciate you. I told him I'd give him a shout out too. So that's what tonight was. But no, as a whole, this night was really dope, man. I'm kind of hoping we keep the court, you know what I'm saying? But and kind of keep it for our home games, but we'll see.
I'm all for it. Keep talking. Keep talking. If this is what we need to do to motivate my Cavaliers to win a damn championship, every single day, Donovan, go play 2K against a kid and have him call you washed.
It's awesome, dude.
That's fantastic.
Can you imagine growing up being able to talk with your favorite players and play them in NBA 2K?
That's the beauty of 2K, though, especially now with the creative player and stuff like that, and how they have their entire world build up, is you can actually play with the NBA players who play, and you know who they are because they have an icon over their head that lets you know that's an actual NBA player. So like there's a lot of real, yeah, exactly. So it's a lot of cool things that come into 2K, but like Nick Saban said, take any bit of motivation you can, use it at all points in your life because you'll never know when you're going to need it. And I am all for this kid coming in and just being Donovan's motivator. Call him washed every single game so he drops 45 on everyone's heads.
It just makes me miss video games. Ever since we started this damn show,
no time.
I'm hoping my sugar mama gets a raise and I can go and just start gaming more because I
have a sugar mama.
I miss my PlayStation.
My brother, you and me both. At least you got a sugar mama to be able to pay for that. We got to take a break. On the other side, we got our guy Chris Flail coming in. Hopefully make you guys laugh before we get out of here for the weekend. Plus, on the other side of that, we got Ryan Holt from the Condors. Talk about the homestand. This is the Early Bird Special right here on ESPN Bakersfield. Welcome back. Early Bird Special right here on ESPN Bakersfield, hour 2 on this Friday. Hope everybody has a great weekend. There's so much going on this weekend. But we got to welcome the beautiful, the fantastic, the funny,
The one and only.
the one and only, Christopher. Is it Christopher? Is it
Christopher when I'm in trouble, yeah.
Are you? Okay, so is it
What's your middle name?
PH like me?
James.
Is it PH like me or is it with an F?
It's PH, and
See,
when I'm in trouble, it would be my mom would grit her teeth and say, Christopher.
Oh, that's
Christopher
exactly
James.
What did I tell you?
See, mine's Christopher Douglas, and I never want
That's
to
a good
hear
one.
it. Yeah.
That's a good movie star name.
Yeah, well, you know.
By the way, Sparky, you keep introducing me like that, I'll be your sugar mama, okay?
Hey,
you
whatever
move
will
in.
give
We
you
got
that
a
noticed
spot.
that he's been doing that a little bit more every time you're on the show.
I was out in the parking lot. I was like, oh, man, I wore too thin a shirt to be called ripped today. I'm fat. I'm putting in the midsection.
I was gonna say there's donuts over here.
He gave you
I had
athletic. He gave you ripped. I was like, whoa.
Not yet.
I wanna
got some
play
new
some hoops with you.
adjectives.
Now that the weather's cooling down, we got to go hit the park and play some basketball.
That would be great. I need to get my hips in order though. We could definitely we could play horse and shoot around.
Yeah,
but
I was
that's
gonna
fine.
say,
if we go up and down the court, I'll be on my back for 2 weeks.
you'll be dealing with your hip. I'll be dealing with my knee and my ankle. I mean,
Aw.
I'm getting there, dude.
Oh yeah.
Did I ever tell you that story of when I messed up my ankle playing pickup? Me and my friends used to play pickup basketball after high school every single weekend. And I go up for a rebound, come down, and of course, one of them is right underneath me. Don't
Yeah.
know why. Hit my foot right on top of his,
Oh, no.
rolled my ankle so bad it popped 3 tendons, and I played on it, and that was the worst
That was a
decision of
bad
my
idea.
life.
Clicks forever.
Oh my god!
But that's the good thing about hanging out with comedians is I'm still athletic for a comedian. The last time I played, this is true. The last time I played a pickup basketball game was Super Bowl Sunday, like 4 or 5 years ago. I played with Dan Betts and Joe Alanis and some other comedians. I literally threw my back out about 4 minutes into the game, but comedians are so non-athletic, you still would have picked me like third. And I couldn't.
Still got a double.
I would literally just pivot at half court and take 2 steps, whether I was
the
offense or
shots that
defense.
are being fired at every comedian right now. It's like the only reason you guys are up there talking and saying your jokes because you can't play sports.
That's exactly right. By the way, you were talking about athletes being podcasters, and that's an under-acknowledged thing is that professional athletes are dorks. They are not cool.
Oh yeah,
They're not cool.
a good amount of them are big nerds, dude.
But they're also not charismatic. They're usually not interesting. They just happen to be incredible at a thing that we all wanted to be good at. But just look at athletes on Twitter. It'd just be some random 9 p.m. tweet. That's wild. And it's like, dude, you stink.
Really? That's what you
You've
got?
got nothing, but it's got 9,000 likes because I can dunk the ball.
No, you're right. But I mean, there are some of them that are, I would call them the golden gooses that are just very entertaining to watch. Your McAfee's.
Yes.
Personally, I put Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson in there. With all
Guys
the
who didn't
smoke.
get their due as athletes.
Right. Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. Actually, that's a very good way to put it. It's usually the ones that weren't the superstar.
That's
I
it.
mean, we were talking about Drew Brees yesterday taking over for Mark Sanchez. And again, personally, I think if he's going to become the best one, I think we need to start talking about him in the conversation of just his position and all that type of stuff. Because
Sure.
I think Drew Brees gets overlooked a lot, but that's just me.
I agree.
But we don't normally talk about him or Tom Brady as the best ones at their position or at their job right now. Usually it's, Greg Olson.
Greg Olson.
Or
That's right.
Tony Romo.
Mhm.
Or I guess the best one that is still somewhat a superstar would be JJ Watt.
Well, it's like you watch. By the way, I love them, but you watch those Michael Jordan interviews, and you're like,
Oh,
"Eh."
so good though.
Yeah, but you're like you can very clearly see he has no connection as to how you are not able to do these
right.
things.
Am I the only one though that was expecting more from that?
Big time.
From the partnership? Like I was expecting him to be on the panel.
They
and
way
talking
oversold
basketball.
They sold it like we're finally going. This is going to be the
Yeah, like
the Sabaning.
Mike's going to be the next Shaq.
This is going to be the Nick Saban
Oh, yeah, he
of
doesn't
Michael
have the
Jordan.
personality of that. But not, with Jordan, it's like he's already on the pedestal. He's lived there for
Right.
decades.
Yeah, I know.
So I mean, you can't really pull a personality out of a guy because in his mind, you could tell just by some of the answers
Oh,
that he gives.
he is walking Jesus
Yeah,
right now, man.
And I mean, he talks about like he rented out an Airbnb,
Yeah.
and it was I forget what it was called, but it was a badass Airbnb, and the owner of the Airbnb brought his kid.
Yeah.
And said, hey, there was a basketball court, of course,
Naturally.
included with the Airbnb. And they said, hey, can you shoot a free throw for him? He said, dude, I haven't picked up a basketball in 10 years.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he said, but I had to make it. And that's just the competition in his mind. But
Didn't he
isn't that-
airball it too?
no, he swished it.
Did he?
Isn't that wild though?
That would be all over the
I
internet.
swear to God, no. I thought I read that he missed the free throw.
No, he said he
Oh, man.
swished it. Thank God. He said that was the toughest shot he's made in decades. But it's just those pedestals with certain players. Like when they said, "Oh, Tom Brady's going into or marketing and doing the play-by-play," I'm like, "Oh God,
Yeah.
Now we have to have him." But he's actually good.
Yeah.
He's good, but he's like he's like the Jay-Z of commentating.
The know-it-all.
As long as he's talking kind of about him or relating it
Right.
to him, he's great.
Well, but that's what I was going to bring up. Is he really great, or is it just the stuff that's coming out of him that we haven't heard yet is like gold to us?
And we're
You know what I
hanging
mean?
on to it, yeah.
It's kind of like the docuseries that we got. Everybody knew the story. We all knew what was going to be said, but we wanted a backstage pass to all of it. We wanted to know what Michael was doing, what Rodman was
Which
doing.
was one of the best things I've ever watched.
Best edited thing I've ever seen.
Yes.
I drive Lexi crazy because I watch it. We go through it probably every 2 weeks. We go through all 10 episodes, and it is okay. So
it's incredibly motivating.
And as producers, you've got to marvel at like that scene where they show Dennis Rodman partying and they're doing the shots. It's kamikaze time. Yeah. It's time to blow your mind, and it's going through all this craziness, and then all of a sudden it transitions to Dennis Rodman holding his knees. He's kind of hurt. He just came back to the team. He's doing lat pull downs and he's hungover, and he holds up a little Gatorade cup and he goes, "Kamikaze." I was like, this is that is the smoothest edit I've ever seen. And it was in a sports documentary. It's unbelievable.
That was my favorite part when Jordan said he'd finally had to fly out to go get him.
Yep.
And Carmen Electra was sitting on the bed, and she's like, "Oh God, it's Michael Jordan. What do I do?"
I know.
It's like you just sit there and look pretty,
Yeah,
sweetheart.
just-
Let him grab his teammate and go home.
Walked away. She said she grabbed her stuff and ran to the bathroom. I'm like, oh my God. But no,
yeah.
it was just one of those topics because, I mean, in high school, I always wanted to get into sports journalism. So I took journalism multi-years. I did it outside. You know, I would do it just for the fun of it.
Yeah.
You know, I would be the one, you know, writing up the stories and, you know, recapping things and acting like I was on SportsCenter. And, you know, Burdick has, you know, went to college and went and did this and wanted to do this as his professional career. So when I see players like Draymond, which I get it, it's a hot take, but coming to a guy that is an influencer on social media, do you see the difference between somebody that, you know,
big time,
takes this serious and then the guy that just shoots from the hip and not get 20,000
not
hits
to make
on it.
this seem like I'm trying to tote my own thing here, but it does kind of annoy me that the ones that you see that are trying to take this seriously are the ones that never get looked at.
Oh yeah.
And again, not trying to make it seem like I don't get looked at, but it's more of just like I see that as a pattern, and it usually
like Greg
kind of
Olsen.
bugs me.
I do
right
think,
back to him.
Right,
I do
exactly.
think this trend will cannibalize itself because you're right. There's this upswing of now every athlete is getting a podcast and doing their thing. But you're right. Most of them don't have the chops to do this. And there's this unfair targeting of the media by current athletes of like, who are you? You've never done it. Why are you criticizing me like this? But there's never an acknowledgement that more than likely 2/3 of the salary that you get is from the constant exposure you are getting from this outside layer of journalists who are providing eyeballs to the only reason we're interested in this on the myopic levels that we are is because all week there is a constant stream of people generating it. You see the, I don't want to say tanking, but there's been a significant reduction in interest in the UFC because they're not building up their stars and building the storylines behind them. You guys build storyline behind even the most mundane thing. I mean, how many times do you see in the middle of summer, there's no sports going on, and you go, boy, based on these offseason moves, are the Miami Dolphins in trouble? And you can do 2 hours on that, and that all rolls into the economics of the game. I just don't see that acknowledged enough.
No, it isn't. But how do you feel? Because, I mean, we haven't talked about Ryan Clark yet, but he, again, was on ESPN last night criticizing somebody. This time it was actually a former player because it was Dan Orlovsky. But I have seen that happen more often now where athletes are attacking those guys who haven't played the game and it's trying to discredit them, like your Peter Schrager's and all these other guys who have been around the game just as long as you have. Just because they didn't play, just because I didn't play at the NFL level doesn't mean I'm not watching and seeing the exact same thing you are.
Exactly.
It's just like the referees. Like, I know a lot of people like to give grief to referees and their calls, but you also have to take into account these guys are looking at it from an outside perspective. And every time that you're witnessing something doesn't mean that it's exactly the way you saw it go down. You need somebody from the outside talking in.
Right.
And if you don't have that, then it's just going to be one-sided opinions.
Well, and I think we've seen enough analysts that know the X's and O's that haven't played the game. Like Mina Kimes has done more for this than anybody. If you watch Mina Kimes with Lenny, there's nobody anymore except for the boneheads on Twitter, but there's no one anymore with any chops that ever says to her, you shouldn't talk about or criticize the game. And you've seen enough players that you can see in the scope. They're fantastic athletes or players, but they really do not have a full understanding of the X's and O's the way a Tony Romo does,
right?
Or the way a Ray Lewis or Ed Reed knows the game is not necessarily the way a Terrell Suggs knows the game,
right? But see, that's my thing. Is it bugs me when I hear, oh, that's the non-player opinion.
Right.
I have seen so many influencers and so many people, kids my age on Instagram that are just making comedy sports stuff that have better takes and better thought processes than 95% of the players that are on ESPN right now talking football.
My three funniest friends are not comedians. Like,
right.
So you don't have to be in it. It helps. And there's a certain shorthand that between players, I'm sure that there's a thing there, but you don't have to be in it to be adept at it.
True. Well, it's like I've talked to actors, and you could probably put a spin on it with the just comics. You know what I mean? With the social media comics, with a real comedian that actually, practices his words. I mean, we were just talking with Anthony yesterday. He was saying he uses certain spots and he knows he's bombing, but he's testing it out. He's growing the joke. And then you can see a guy on, Twitter or Instagram that took 40 takes to get this one joke out.
And then it's the funniest
and then
thing
I go
he's
see
ever
him.
released.
I go see him at not to bash on a certain comedian, but what was the guy from Louis that Louis rolled up about stealing jokes?
Oh, I know who you're talking about, but I can't remember.
So my ex-wife was a big fan of this comedian, and it was before all the Louis stuff came out and was saying that he was going to shows. And
was it Dane Cook?
Dane Cook.
Thank you.
Wow. So,
how did I miss Dane
Cook?
My
my ex-wife was a huge Dane Cook fan. I listened to I don't know if it was before or after COVID, but
probably Vicious Circle or something.
It was one of his first, live comic shows. We drove all the way down to Fresno. We got dinner. We sat at the show, and he came out with 100 security guys, did like 4 or 5 minutes, and walked off the stage. And the whole, I was like, I don't know if this guy is actually funny.
No, there was a point where Dane was, I think, just full of himself. He was so popular that he didn't think he needed to do any stand-up anymore.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, at that point, he was doing movies.
And he talks about that, how he lost his way. But you're right. There's such a spectrum in comedians, not only at how good they are or not good, but even among whether you're good or not, knowledgeable about the X's and O's. There's some fantastic comedians that I've spoken to, and it's clear to me early on they have no idea why they're good at all. And then there are some that are surgical about it, that you can actually there's certain comics that I can sit down and talk to for 2 hours about comedy and never get tired. And there might be another comedian that's equally good that does equally well on stage, that in 30 seconds I'm exhausted and just looking for the door.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the same, I'm sure, with players. Is there are some players that are fantastic that know that, when you're talking basketball, there are some Kobe Bryant style to diagnose the game. I've seen Gilbert Arenas really diagnose the game, despite the fact that I really can't stand his personality as a broadcaster, but diagnosing the game is fantastic.
Another one of those that loves to highlight when people he claims don't know what they're talking about.
Yes, and he's a walking contradiction, from the guy who posts his own memes about ratting everybody out, to trying to cancel somebody for suggesting he might be a snitch. But his X's and O's knowledge is tremendous.
Oh, 100%.
Kobe's was tremendous. But you look at someone, maybe the most dominant player of all time, Shaquille O'Neal, and one of the greats of all time, Charles Barkley. I've never heard good substantive analysis from them about the actual game. You gotta play. You gotta.
Yeah, it's
but
very
they're entertainers.
Basic.
You gotta get the rebound.
That's the difference between entertainers.
It's amazing how you can be equally great and one have a professor's knowledge and one apparently nearly just a bystander.
Yeah, I hated Barkley when he first came out, and he grew on me. Now I wouldn't miss a show if I knew he was on. And speaking with basketball, now that the season's rolling, we're in the middle of a NBA Cup. which I did talk to a good friend of mine that is a diehard basketball guy. And he said it did start a bit earlier, but it's always going to end mid-December, like always. So I was like,
so this is this is a
it's
new
a little
start
early.
for them.
It's a little
Okay.
early, but it's going to end at the same
Because
time.
I know not all of the teams start at the same time. Some
Exactly.
players or some teams were still doing their regular season games, while like Cleveland, because we just
Mhm.
heard Donovan Mitchell just had their first game on the court. So I really was shocked that we got it this early.
I have a theory that Cleveland's never going to win, and I apologize.
Don't you start with me.
He's too. Their superstar is too cute. He's too pouty. He's too pouty to do what it takes to win. He's
Donovan
adorable.
Mitchell is too cute.
He's adorable, and he's got big doe eyes, and he's got a little sweet young man's face, and that's just never going to do it. He's always going to get some little minor injury that when he misses a shot hurts a little worse, because he's been adorable his whole life. And he's never been told no, because he's a great athlete. So he's never going to have what it takes to grit. He needs to be, I hate to wish this on him. He needs to be in an accident that doesn't hurt him severely, but mars his face.
I want this audio cut so I could send it to the Cleveland Cavaliers tonight. Donovan, this is your motivation for the rest of the season.
So
that's right. That was actually me on PlayStation, not doing my chores.
Who is your basketball team? Are you a Sixers fan? Are you?
I travel. I'm a bit of a basketball. I go by the. I'm actually a Warriors fan right now.
Okay.
I'm a big Jimmy guy. Jimmy Butler's my favorite player in the league. I love Draymond as a player. I watch him. I marvel at him during the games.
So I say the same thing, because it's like, dude, you should be so much better than you are. And it bugs me that he is. I even call him overrated, because as much as people talk about him in the game, you would assume he's dropping 30 on people's heads. Draymond.
Well,
I mean, I watch the way he pushes the pace of the game and puts people in position. Now, credit to the Warriors for allowing that position to. I don't know that would have existed for this long on any other team. But I sit and I watch the way he affects shots. And what is he, 6'6", 6'5"?
Maybe. Yeah, he's a shorter power forward.
It's just unbelievable to watch what he can do out there. And I don't know why other teams haven't tried to recreate that. Of all the things that are stolen in the league, maybe not.
I don't think you can.
Maybe
he has
not.
a very unique skill set that he's had ever since he was at Michigan State. I mean, he's been doing this since he was at Michigan State.
That's true.
So, and I think obviously having Kerr as your head coach, probably he's able to put something around it.
Yeah.
But he's honestly the best power forward to have if you're Steph Curry, because if you're Steph, at least from what I've watched with Steph's game, although he can shoot with the ball in his hands off the dribble, he's much better off of screens, which means you can just give the ball up to somebody else, let him run around the court for 5 seconds, tire out his defender, and get a wide open three in the corner.
Yeah.
And that's all because Draymond is able to control everything else.
Yeah. So they're my favorite team right now. My least favorite team is the Oklahoma City Thunder, because I'm a hater. I'm a hater.
I don't know how you can hate them, though. They're so much fun to watch.
I find them tough to watch. At least in the playoffs, I found them tough to watch. Just the foul baiting and the foul. There's just a lot
that's
of it.
fair.
That makes it tough for me. I will say, I just watched them play the Clippers the other night, and I was tremendously impressed. I didn't see the foul baiting. I didn't see the over defensing fouling.
Fair.
I didn't see them do that, but they still and James Harden came out to like a 17-point first quarter start, and they still beat him by 20 some. So I was extremely impressed.
No, the Thunder are a fantastic team, and honestly, this is one thing I meant to bring up the other day. SGA is a testament to how good Sam Cassell could be as a coach, because people don't realize this, but Sam Cassell has worked directly with SGA on the majority of his mid-range game, which is the best part of his game now.
Well, you can see it just how he's handling the ball this year.
Yes, absolutely. So it's like, I don't understand why people keep overlooking Sam Cassell as a head coach.
That would be huge.
I mean, especially if we're seeing him create arguably the best player in the NBA right now.
Right.
Well, speaking of basketball, how about my Bulls, baby? We're actually in contending.
It's early.
I know it's still early. I get it, but let me enjoy it.
But also,
let him have his
But,
time.
hey,
I will say this, though. The Eastern Conference, they've got a good shot, because the Eastern Conference was decimated by injuries. And so
I hate Miami and
keep
Boston, so as long as we stay away from them, I'll be happy.
just tape up them ankles. As long as no one blows an Achilles, you all be in good shape until the playoffs.
Giddy on the court.
Speaking of injuries, I do have to tell you, congrats, the Eagles picking up Jalen Phillips.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a solid edge for the Eagles.
I agree.
I know he's going to fit perfect with that defense as long as he can stay straight up.
By the way, I had a coworker ask me the other day, "What do you think about your Eagles so far?" And I said, to be honest with you, the way things have shaken out, I'm not going to have to think about them until they got a 3-game lead in the division right now.
Well, not even just that, but you guys made probably the silent moves of the trade deadline that are going to make the most difference.
Big impact.
Bringing in Jair Alexander, which not a lot of people realize you did. Another corner as well, whose name escapes me. I think it was something Jones. Not to mention Phillips that we already talked about. I mean, the team itself offensively is still the exact same team. AJ Brown came out the other day and said, why wouldn't I want to play here? Which, again, I find absolutely ridiculous because you've been complaining every week since you started playing here.
I will say, I think people need to give him some grace. I mean, he's number one. He's a wide receiver, ultimate diva position, but he does it like he does it like sensitively. Like he just kind of whines a little bit. He's emo tweeting. I can live with that. Rather than Terrell Owens, as much as I loved him, had Jeremiah Trotter throwing weights at him in the locker room. He's just kind of wearing a sweater with a message on it. I can live with a little
diva receivers. I'm just like, stop talking to them, please.
I can live with a little Fallout Boy playing in the locker room because he didn't get enough targets. I'm fine with that.
Media love receivers, man. That's how you get all the clickbait quotes and stuff like that.
Well, the last part of the interview before we let you go, because we haven't talked to you in a couple of weeks. There's been a lot of going on with the wrestling.
There has a whole lot going on. How do you boys feel about?
I'm pumped about this tournament.
You are.
I am very pumped about the tournament.
I can't wait to see who's in the tournament.
Yeah. Yes. Well, I mean, we know a couple of the names already because Rusev, Damian Priest, Sheamus, and Shinsuke have all been named, at least on
We'll get another 4 tonight.
I thought for sure we would hear about the 4 on NXT, but I didn't get to watch it, nor have I seen anything be released. So maybe we'll just hear about them as the tournament bracket gets released. But who do you think, if there is anybody that's not in the company, so supposedly, because again, let's be honest, it's wrestling. These guys are all going to be signed to at least a week contract. Otherwise, you're not going to be in this tournament. But who do you think makes a surprise appearance?
So my first favorite wrestler of my adolescence, which I think is when you really become a wrestling fan.
Fair.
I hope we get Chris Jericho returned.
That is the main rumor right now.
Do I still every 6 weeks or so, because I'm poorly emotionally adjusted, watch the original Jericho debut and get teary-eyed when I'm going through moments in my life? Yes, because it was the best debut I've ever seen in my life. When
countdown and stuff like that, that's true.
The countdown, and when you go back and watch it, when they do the firework burst, and then they've got what sounds like Rage Against the Machine. I don't know who sang that, but when they do, they've got the clouds, and his name spins around. The way the crowd pops when they see, it's the best one I've ever seen. And then him with his arms straight out, kind of Jesus pose, the best.
Mine was the Undertaker, right, the Survivor Series when $1 Million Man had his mystery partner, and I was like, who's gonna be?
See, I'm biased. Mine's John Cena returning at the Royal Rumble. Good one. John, when he had his head down and stuff, puts his head up.
You just made the list.
I was like, oh my god, yes.
I've got an underrated one for you. Taz debuted. You remember that?
Yes.
When Kurt Angle issued Open Challenge?
Yeah.
The crowd went ballistic for Taz, which I thought was really cool too.
Yeah.
I know tonight, what was it? How do you say his name? Is it Dragunov?
Ilya Dragunov, yeah.
So he's rolling with the Open Challenge, and I think they're gonna mix in one of these, whether it's NXT or one of these guys that'll be in the competition.
That's possible.
Sooner or later, somebody's gonna have to come and sneak and take that title from him.
I think Jericho comes back in this tournament, but I don't think he's the final match. I think they're going to use that to build up a lot of storylines within the tournament, like all these guys losing to each other and whatnot. I'm hoping, though, we get him and Edge back.
I want Edge back.
I want Edge back at least for, if he's not the final opponent, I would love for the finals of this tournament to be Randy Orton versus Edge, and then everybody's just talking, okay, who is it?
Yeah.
Which one of his biggest rivals is going to get John last?
Yeah.
And then in comes Brock, and he rough shots everybody.
I miss Kevin Owens.
I do too.
He has been dealing with that injury for quite some time, and I'm hoping it's not career threatening.
So we were talking about this a little bit off air. Is you guys have a great show, and you've got big popularity here. So we all want to be on. We all want to be a part of it. You know how hard it's starting to get to manage people. How you can give this opportunity to people. Imagine how hard it is to give airtime to all of these stars, right? For as much as I like to
Yeah.
complain, like we just said, Kevin Owens, Brock,
Triple H.
Will Edge come back, Will
Triple
Jericho
H,
come back,
yeah.
Triple H. Then you got the women's division. When's AJ Lee coming back?
Where's
what are we doing
Liv?
with Nikki Bella? Is Brie coming back? Where's Liv?
There was a post
When's
this morning.
Io gonna get hurt?
Liv was at the Stranger Things
Yep.
deal last night. Oh, she looks ripped. She's coming back.
I'm telling, I
Looks
can't
fantastic.
imagine.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Thirsty.
Oh God! You cannot tell me that's one of the most gorgeous women on the planet.
Someone's trying to get himself a new PlayStation.
I will gladly live. Call me, please. I will gladly.
Honey, I'm not co-signing any of this. I'll
No.
be home in 15 minutes. These guys get to
This
say
is just me.
these guys get to broadcast other things for 34
Look,
minutes. I got to go right home after this.
I have
Killing
a
me.
short list. Okay. But none of them are going to. But hey,
I'll take the man.
you can have the man, but you're going to have to fight Steph for that one.
That's fine.
Oh Lord. But anyways, back to the topic at hand here. Wrestling is becoming at least exciting again after this whole crown jewel situation. And personally, I thought just kind of the lull of everything, having to stop all these storylines and stuff. But a topic I had to bring up to you, since I know you're just as much a wrestling fan as we are. A lot of people have been blaming Paul Levesque for some of these shows.
Mhm.
And granted, the storylines you can blame Paul for because he's head of creative. But what people are blaming him for are the ticket prices and the movements out of country and all this type of stuff. And that's not even technically his job.
Right.
How do you feel about this? And are fans just kind of picking him to pick on?
I feel like fans are picking on him unfairly for that, and it just generally the fans are starting to get a little nasty. Like I was
bit.
again for Saturday night's main event. I put a little picture on my story that if Punk loses, we riot.
Yeah, I saw that.
I didn't want to see Jay. I didn't think it was right for Jay to get the belt, but they did what I thought was. I love Jey Uso. He's just not there.
Right.
I think they did the right thing and they gave Punker the belt and they put Jay kind of where he needs to be. But afterwards, I saw the internet community just trashing Jay in some of the botched spots. And it's like, hey, you guys got what you want. He's a great superstar. He sells a ton of merch. Kids love him and he's tough as nails. He split his head open and didn't miss an appearance. And I think that same thing happens with Triple H too. There's some carryover. The storylines, I absolutely put that responsibility on him. But when you're public with TKO, there are certain things that are going to be completely out of his control.
Right.
And I'm guessing most of that is ticket pricing, where locations for spots, WrestleMania.
But that's my point. Like,
location.
are we really just picking Triple H just because that's the guy everyone knows?
It's an easy target.
It's just it's kind of like the head coach on a football team. Like you just kind of assume he's in charge because that's Paul.
Which brings me back to my theory. The only thing that will be left for him to do as a consummate professional is to embrace it and become the villain on the show and become Vince McMahon. Like I think eventually he will.
Honestly, it's either going to be him or The Rock.
Yeah.
I don't know which one it's going to be, but one of you two needs to be the new Vince McMahon because we desperately need that character.
I think Triple H would do it. I don't think The Rock will bring himself to
he
do
is
it.
too much.
He's
Like
got too much movies.
Yeah, and he has
on.
to be loved outside of the game, and it's a little different.
He's got
for him.
that cornball.
Absolutely.
in him.
We have run out of time, though, my friend. Thank you so much for yours. We will talk to you.
You got any shows coming up?
Yeah, what shows you got?
I got a private show tomorrow, and then I'm
Damn
shut.
private
I'm
shows,
shut.
huh?
I know a private show tomorrow. And
When
then
do we get a private show?
Right?
give me a PlayStation? I'll do whatever you want.
I can't go that far, but hey.
Love you, boys. Thanks
we
for having me.
appreciate you,
Thanks,
brother.
Let's take a break real quick. On the other side, we'll be talking to Ryan Holt about all things Condors as they get set to take on their division rival in the Henderson Silver Knights. This is the Early Bird Special right here on ESPN Bakersfield. Welcome back. Early Bird Special right here on ESPN Bakersfield, 101.1 FM, 1230 AM. And it is time to talk Bakersfield Condors as they get set for their home stand this weekend against the Henderson Silver Knights. And to talk all things Condors, we got to talk to our guy, Ryan Holt. Sir, how are you? Welcome back.
I'm great. How are we doing?
Oh, can't complain, sir. Can't complain. How's the season been going so far for our listeners who haven't been able to catch up? I know this is the second homestand that we're going to have so far this season, correct?
Yeah, we've played the fewest amount of home games in the league, so it's good to be back home. Good to sleep in our own beds. We've been on the road for the last almost 3 weeks, so long road trip. I think the team learned a lot. I think over the course of the last 2.5 weeks, got 4 points out of a possible 10. So not the greatest road trip in the world, but I think you have these early in the season. I think for a young team that is still trying to form its identity here. We're only 9 games into the season. I think it'll pay dividends in the long haul when we look at the end of this season. So a little bit of growing pains on the road, but I think some good learning lessons to bring back home.
Now, I've asked you this question before, but for our listeners who don't follow hockey that well, or maybe just don't get how the point system works, how does that work for teams when they go on the road, and how do they gain points?
Yeah, 2 points for a win and 1 point if you lose in overtime or a shootout. So, at the end of the year, I think you want to have, roughly 80 points is kind of our benchmark, for a course of a 72-game season. So, if you're above 500, you're in the clear in terms of playoffs and things like that. So, points in October and November are just as important as March and April. But, unfortunately, the road trip wasn't as expected, but faced some tough competition, went into Colorado and took on a really good Colorado team. Calgary's been playing well. Tucson's been playing well as well, too. So, and the team coming in this weekend is just as good. So, we'll see what happens coming back on home ice here. But yeah, definitely the schedule lightens up here a little bit in terms of just the travel and having to go around the country here.
Well, like you just mentioned, we have a home series against Henderson. Looking at this team, I mean, what matchups or storylines should fans keep an eye on?
Yeah, we've got former Condor Raphael Lavoie. He's back in Henderson. He's having a really good start to his season. He was claimed off waivers last year by Vegas. Edmonton tried to get him down to Bakersfield. That didn't happen. He got picked up off waivers and now it plays for Henderson. So it'll be interesting to see him this year. He's in a much better place, I think, just in terms of his own headspace. I think last year was a little bit of a scramble for him. This is a series that we've historically dominated. We've won 18 out of 20 at home against these guys. We have almost a 900 winning percentage against them all time. Now, granted, they've struggled the last couple of years, but even when they were really good their first season, we were really good against them. So, they come in winning 7 of 8 games. They face some lighter competition like San Diego and San Jose here of late, but it's a good team and they're chomping at the bit to make the playoffs. They haven't made the playoffs the last 4 seasons. So this is a different looking Henderson team and we'll certainly need to be ready. And, at the NHL level, these are the 2 teams, Edmonton and Vegas, that are the 2 best teams in the Pacific, year in and year out over the last handful of years. So it's 2 teams kind of in the same boat prospect wise, right? You're supporting a Stanley Cup contender as opposed to like a San Diego and San Jose who are supporting a team that, is starting to come along and try to find its footing.
So naming dropping some of these players that they may see this weekend, obviously Pitlick, the top point getter right now. Obviously everybody knows Seth Griffin's been with the team forever. Hamblin also being one of those guys. Offensively, we look pretty good. Defensively, though, we've let up a lot of goals so far at the beginning of the season. How do they adjust, and do the goalies really address those issues as Tompkins and Ingram try to figure this out?
Yeah, I think it's twofold, right? I think Tompkins has looked better of late, which is a positive sign. But yeah, the defensive zone needs to be cleaned up. I think Sunday in Calgary was probably our most disappointing effort. I would say, just in terms of just the compete level, and you can kind of feel kind of the air coming out of the balloon a little bit. And, I think for the group back there, there's veterans in Stillman, Brown, and Dineen, and then you have the newcomers, guys like Millman and like Lepinen and Aki on the back end, Prokop, Carfagna. These guys need to start to assimilate themselves. And again, we're 9 games in. I was talking with Keith McCambridge, our associate coach who kind of manages the D, and he kind of tries to make an adjustment or at least make a guess to what we are after like 20 games. So, obviously need to clean up the defensive side. I think 5-on-5 has been okay. The penalty kill has been a work in progress, and we'll see what happens this weekend.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. We got the first game tonight, 7:00 against Henderson, and then tomorrow, which I'll be at, is at the same time, 7:00 right here in Condors Town. I know you guys are the king of promotion. I believe I read $3 beer nights tonight, as well as 70s night.
It's the best.
Yeah,
yeah.
Every Friday's $3 beer night. So $3 McUltras, $3 Golden Road mango carts this year. So that'll go from doors open, which is at 6:00, through the start of the second period, which is usually about 8:15. So it's always a fun crowd, always a lively atmosphere on Fridays, and then we're theming all of our Fridays as well too, based off decades. So this kind of the kickoff to those. So 70s night tonight. So if you have disco garb, or I think that's that's hairband too. Kind of a little bit. Yeah, maybe
that era.
Get some Kiss makeup on.
Yeah, I've been trying to get some Toto in there.
There you go.
That's more 80s. So
there you go. I'll remember that next week when you come back on.
Exactly 70s Joel maybe. So it should be a lot of fun. We'll theme out some music and some games around that as well too. So that's tonight, and then patriotic night tomorrow, and we'll have we have inflatables and kind of obstacle courses on the plaza pregame as well too, starting at 5. So bring the kids early, hang out early, and get down here as quick as you can.
Are we going to be getting some themed jerseys and stuff like that for the crowds? Or
we are. It's funny you say that. I have 2 tabs open on my computer right now. One is you guys, and it's great to see you. The other one is FedEx tracking.
Nice.
Obviously with everything going on in the world right now, and then of course the unfortunate incident in Louisville this week as well too. Jerseys have been circumnavigated around the globe here, so we should be okay. But yes, either way, we'll still wear the patriotic jerseys at some point this month. But hopefully tomorrow night, and auction them off for a great cause.
I don't know what you guys have planned for 90s night, but the one jersey I remember from the Condors from when I was a kid that I always wanted was that Jason Voorhees, the Halloween one that was all black with the blood and stuff. We need to revive that. We
had that, and the one that the one is always popular, and I've always wondered. We follow him on Twitter, and it's just old Twitter is the old Metal Blade. Director or producer. So we did a Metal Blade jersey back in early 2000s, and obviously he's well connected in that scene as well too. So we've tried to run the gamut of jerseys. We've done just about everything, but we're always open to new ideas.
Fantastic. We love that. We love that new jerseys are coming. My last question for you, sir, and we'll get you out of here because I know you're incredibly busy. We appreciate your time. For people who don't follow the AHL, obviously we are in the Pacific side or the West Coast side. Is this kind of the tougher division in the AHL in your opinion, or is it kind of a blend? Like, how is the competition this year looking?
Yeah, I always go with, how are the NHL teams? I think, the NHL and the AHL kind of mirror each other. I think, there's definitely a big organization in that aspect. And you look at the Pacific, and, for my money, the top 3 teams or the top 4 teams that we see, in the Pacific, and we can throw Texas in there, are the top 4 teams, I think, in the entire NHL. And that's, Dallas, Vegas, Colorado, and Edmonton. And as a result, their AHL teams are pretty good as well, too. They all have different identities, but I think those are 4 teams that are competing for Stanley Cups and 4 teams at the AHL level that want to compete for the Pacific Division. The 2 sides of the division are completely different. The Western Conference is more air travel. It's more extended road trips. The Eastern is, day trips, hour and a half long bus rides. It's definitely more of a grind out in the West. It's a little bit of a tougher division, I think, too. But we'll see what ends up shaking out. But the Pacific has been to the last 3 Calder Cup finals and won the last one with Abbotsford winning last year. So proof is in the pudding that if you're pretty good in the Pacific, you might be pretty good overall in the AHL.
Fantastic. We love to hear that. Well, once again, Bakersfield Condors starting this weekend, homestand against the Henderson Silver Knights. Get out there, check it out. $3 beer night tonight, patriotic night tomorrow. Sir, we will talk to you very, very soon about the rest of the season.
Yeah, we got you scheduled Wednesday, so we'll talk to you then.
We'll get you guys next week.
I'm excited. Whenever you guys want me, I'm here.
Oh, we will gladly have you back on, sir. Love talking Condors with you. We will get
All
you
right,
out of
thanks,
here.
guys.
I know you're incredibly busy. Thank you for your time.
Appreciate it, guys. Take care.
Thanks, man. We got to take a break real quick ourselves, pay some bills. This is the Early Bird Special right here on ESPN Bakersfield. Speaking of which, did you see the trailer for the biopic?
Michael?
Yeah.
Yes. And it
I'm
looks awesome.
in. I'm
Yeah.
in. I'm sold. And again, I don't know if this is a story that we're going to get the full story of, but it's still going to be fun to watch either way.
Yeah. And we had a text before we go. One says, is there any truth with LeBron going to the Knicks?
No, again, they have been rumoring that since he left Cleveland. And everybody says, who wouldn't want to play for the Knicks? A lot of people actually wouldn't want to play for the Knicks. And again, what would he get from New York that he isn't currently getting from LA?
I think it's more of the talking heads just saying the Lakers are playing well right now.
Right. And
why
they don't
would we
need him.
want LeBron in there?
100%.
But there's no truth of anything until LeBron is ready. If LeBron wants to go, he'll go.
Yeah. And that's going to be on his choice, not on anybody else's. I can promise you that right now. I have another text message here on our YouTube channel as well. It says, if the Raiders had Dak, they would have a winning record. I would trade Geno Smith for Dak Prescott immediately. That's from Tommy Gunn. And I get why you guys say that, but I still will stand on this hill that the Raiders' problem is not a quarterback. It is the offensive line. And my example that I will forever use is Caleb Williams. Last season, everybody was ready to tar and feather the kid. Everybody said he's awful. He's not a starting quarterback in the NFL. He gets sacked too much. He does too much. It's because he had an awful offensive line. What does Ben Johnson do? At first year he comes in, he fixes that problem. And look at him now. Doesn't matter if he's running around. Caleb's winning football games. He's looking good. He looks like an actual starting quarterback. Why? Because the line keeps him upright. That's the long and short of it. I know a lot of people love to sit there and say, we need a quarterback. The quarterback's all we need. No, I promise you, the Raiders need a lot more than just a QB. I'm not saying Geno's the guy,
line. But yeah, and the fantasy question says Breece Hall or Swift this weekend.
Oh, I heard Swift isn't playing. I thought he was questionable, but I guess if I had to guess, I'd probably go Breece Hall just because, again, the Jets are going to be doing anything they can to stay, competitive in football games, although I don't think they'll win a single one from here until the end of the season. I'd probably go Breece Hall, but what are your thoughts? Because I hear that DeAndre's banged up, and they may go with the other guy for a while.
I heard the same thing with, last night I was having the same question. I had to text Randy. I was like, should I go with Judkins or the Raiders back?
Oh,
Genty.
Genty.
And I started Genty. He scored, and then everything went
12
downhill.
Points?
Yeah,
maybe.
Everything went downhill after that. But it's hard for me. I have Breece Hall too, and I haven't started him when I probably should have last game. But it's tough to know what the hell you're going to get out of the Jets. Yeah. First of all, they haven't announced who's going to start at quarterback, and two, if Swift is playing, I would go with Swift, but he's banged up.
Yeah, until I hear differently, I'm going to ride and say that the Jets are not changing the quarterback. Until I hear the word Tyrod Taylor is our starting QB, I'm not going to believe Aaron Glenn's moving off of Justin. And maybe that's just his plan. Maybe that'll end up getting him fired. I have no idea. But I don't know if they really have a choice at this point. I'm with Sparky. I don't think Justin is going to be the right fit for you. And to be honest with you, I think you need more of a game manager like Tyrod Taylor. It just makes sense. Look at what the Cardinals are dealing with. Sometimes the mobile quarterback isn't the right answer. So maybe going to a guy like Tyrod Taylor would actually be able to win a handful more games for you, and you won't have to sit there with the first overall pick.
Well, I'm going to go with, speaking of number one picks, the Bleacher Report sent me the top 10 picks in the way too early NFL mock draft.
Fantastic.
And just going off of what the records were on Monday, pick number one would go to the Saints.
Naturally.
Where they would take them with Fernando Mendoza, quarterback, Indiana.
Love the pick. But I'm also looking at Jalen Sayin now from Ohio State, who's up there. And he might be a top caliber quarterback as well.
And then they have number two with the Titans taking the Miami Edge, Reuben Bain Jr.
See, again, another team that has issues at the offensive line that if they do go that route are not making the right decision.
Going addressing it.
Take the tackle.
Number 3, I would have the Jets taking the Alabama quarterback Ty Simpson.
Interesting.
And number 4, where I thought, okay, Miami's going to pick a quarterback. No, they have Miami taking the Ohio State safety Caleb Downs.
A safety going at number 4. That's a stretch. I don't remember a safety going that high in the last couple of years. So
I know we need a safety, but
but that's not your number 1 problem.
I wouldn't take him at number 4. But number 5 would be Arizona State wide receiver to the Giants, Jordan Tyson.
Good pairing. Honestly, him and Malik Neighbors next to each other would be a dynamic 1-2. Plus Wandale at the 3. Oh.
Number 6 would be the Browns taking Dante Moore from Oregon.
Fair. Absolutely fair, especially if they don't feel like Shador is their answer and Dylan Gabriel clearly is not.
Number 7 would be the Raiders taking LSU cornerback Mansour Delane.
Again.
Not addressing the offensive line.
No.
Number 8 would be the Bengals taking Ohio State linebacker Reese. Number 9 would be the Commanders with Texas A&M edge Howell. And then wrapping up the top 10 would be the first offensive lineman, but going to the Ravens, Spencer Fano from Utah.
Which we all know the Ravens most likely will not be at the 10 spot when the draft actually happens. But I need to look into the offensive line. Maybe this isn't a good offensive line draft. Maybe that's the case. But hearing a lot of those teams like the Raiders and the Titans and all these guys. Again,
remember all those quarterbacks and Miami's not taking one?
This is a way too early mock draft, I grant you. But there's a lot of mistakes on that one if I am a GM. Because, again, teams like Tennessee and the Raiders, you need to focus on an offensive line. Teams like Miami, 100% you need to be taking a quarterback. I don't know what other position you would really feel like you need to address besides quarterback. And honestly, I get that a lot of these players are coveted and are fantastic talents, but I think people in the NFL really need to start focusing on drafting what they need, not players based on their skill level. Because again, granted that a safety at number 4 would be pretty unprecedented, but I don't think that Miami's defensive woes are all centered around a safety issue.
I mean, we got to get a coach and a GM and all of that. So it's way too early, but what you got planned this weekend?
This weekend I am booked full, to be completely honest with you. We're doing Thanksgiving a little early with the pop. I mean, we don't, separated household, so I got to pick days with both parents. But we'll be at my dad's house on Saturday, plus plenty of football and a lot of sports to be watching, to be completely honest with you.
We're going to see Predator tonight.
Nice. You're going to have to let me know how that goes.
Then my son's got a band competition in LA tomorrow. Got a BC football game, the final game, which you can hear on our sister station starting at 11:45.
BC football going to be ended on a high note against College of the Canyons, baby.
Hopefully SmackDown is good tonight.
I think it will be. And
I need to watch Welcome to Derry.
I still haven't touched that, or it's the new episode. Am I the only one that's kind of worried?
Yes.
After the last one, we saw a girl almost get pulled in by an umbilical cord. Pennywise is a whole different level. I don't know what to say. We got to get out of here, though. Here comes the legendary Rich Eisen. Sparky, let's go home.